Well, hi there, Jonathan.
That is some fire intro music. Is
I
that what the
love the
cool kids
build.
say now?
It's the build up, of course.
Yeah.
It works.
Fire.
I love the build up. It gets us ready to go that way.
Yeah, it does.
How's Jonathan doing?
Jonathan is here today. How about you?
I am ready to roll. It's 2 p.m. It's Tuesday. Means it's time for another Minot
I
Talks.
came across a very good discovery today.
What's that?
Well, one of my favorite food trucks at the end of last year announced that they were closing down,
Oh no.
but they're going to have a permanent location.
Oh, where are they opening up at?
Well, so we knew that where they're coming in at, but finally today, I was able to go and stop in and eat some worst case scenario.
Okay.
Have you ever had their food
I've
truck?
never tried. I've heard about it before, but I've never tried.
They,
So have they opened up at their permanent brick and mortar location then?
yes, they've moved into the cheesesteak old location.
Oh, so at North Hill Bowl.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Interesting thing about that, somebody was visiting mine. I don't remember why. I don't remember who. I don't remember how I met them or anything like that. But there's these people they're visiting mine. They're like, yeah, there's actually more to do here than what we realized.
Exactly.
And they're like, yeah, I, I would have never thought, but there's a cheesecake factory here.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Well.
you're right. There's more to do here than what you probably thought, but that is not the Cheesecake Factory. That is actually the Cheesesteak Factory. And if you're expecting the Cheesecake Factory, I'm sorry, but you probably don't want to
You're
go.
gonna be largely disappointed.
Yeah,
No cheesecake was served at the cheesesteak factory.
correct.
And
But at worst case scenario, they do have ice cream.
hey, there you go.
They have some fantastic bratwurst. I love it. Dude, they do a phenomenal job. Like the one that I had today was the Korean. So they
Okay.
go and they have like um I can never remember the name of the stuff. Coleslaw, but it's
Sure.
like a Korean style coleslaw.
Like the kimchi kind of thing?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's big words. But I enjoy it. And then like they have a Midwestern that has nacho cheese and onion tangler type deals on it and classic ones.
Got some good dogs there, it sounds like.
Bratwurst, bro.
Their brats even better. Do they
Yeah.
make them all in house then?
The brats are supplied by Mima's Meats and from Berthold.
Okay.
And this is one of my favorite parts of the whole thing right here. The buns are homemade buns supplied by Prairie Sky Bread.
Ooh, there you go.
The buns are fantastic,
bet
which
they're
is the weirdest thing to
amazing.
say. That, yeah, I really
You go-
enjoy their, because hot dog buns, nobody cares about a hot dog bun.
I
Like,
mean, it's just a bun, right?
right. If you want a bun, great. If you don't, whatever. Like, I don't need that. But the buns there, I like them.
They have that Prairie Sky bread bun, so they just add that
Quality.
extra, exactly, that quality makes it that much better.
Absolutely.
Well,
So very interesting there.
heck yeah, it's good to see a new business, a new restaurant opened up in the bowling alley. That way you can finally have something to eat again when you're having fun bowling and whatever else you might be partaking in then.
All right.
What
Moving
else do we
on.
have
Moving
to
on.
Talk about today.
Well, one of the most interesting things over the past week, besides budgets, which we have been chronicling here at the
betcha.
Dakotan.
Jonathan on a roll, interviewing a bunch of city council members, Harold Stewart, the mayor himself, Tom Ross, all have come out on the YouTube channel, mydakotan.com as well over this past weekend. Have a couple more upcoming still too, right?
Yep, we got a couple more to release. Tomorrow there'll be a new one. Thursday there'll be a new one. We've reached out to 2 other city council men, and we're just waiting to get things on the books.
Waiting on confirmation, and it'll be some great interviews.
But there's 2 other men in Minot that are on the run.
There are, yeah.
This is an interesting one though.
It kind of surprised. Like it was interesting to see. It's a contract
Construction fraud.
Yeah, construction fraud. That's also one real little tidbit that I saw. Did you look too closely at their mugshots?
Well, one of them's smiling.
Yeah, which
and
is,
what the guy's like 5'5"?
Yeah, one guy's like 5'4", and the other's like 6'3".
Yeah, there's
a massive
disparity there
between the two of them.
But
yeah, be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout for those. You can go to mydakotan.com and read the article.
Yep. Contact the Ward County Sheriff's Office or Department if you run into them by chance.
Absolutely, but that's a unique one, construction fraud, and that's a story in itself. Actually, in the interviews that we did, I don't think it came out on air, but it was talked about off air about construction fraud and stuff. That's not good.
No.
And in some ways that comes back to the city.
Mm-hmm.
Or it can not as a knock against the city, but depending on how it's done, it could have an effect financially on the city.
Yeah, without a doubt, that can, especially depending on where the fraud's coming from. If it's something directly related to the city, obviously not just financial and monetary impacts, but that could have time delays on construction projects as well.
Always time delays.
And don't we just love road construction in Minot?
I love road. Yeah, I do. I enjoy it. It's I love orange. One of my favorite colors.
It's the color of summer in Minot.
No, I hate road construction. Something else that we asked when one of the they will all remain anonymous, though we're not breaking confidences. We were not told that it was confidential, but we were asked someone about the Big M building,
Sure,
like
an epic construction.
That was a bad deal, like, and they're like it was blah blah blah, but they're in talks about others being maybe coming in and buying it out.
That would be fantastic.
That'd be neat.
Because I believe at this point, most of the biggest parts of the tear down have happened. Like they've gotten the asbestos removed and everything. I think that was
my understanding.
Part. Yeah. So I know that was one of the biggest issues in moving forward with anyone taking on that project, was just the sheer amount of asbestos located in there. So now if that's gone, at the very least, this is a massive shell of a building that's just open to anyone.
So I have a solution.
What's that?
Because, all right, how much? Do you know the number it is to fix the police department?
Not off the top of my head, but it's in well over 10 million, if I remember.
Oh yeah, but the high number is like way higher than that. My understanding.
Like 50.
I think it's closer to 50 than 10.
40 something pops into my head now that I think about it.
The from high number. That's the high number. That
yeah,
good chance that'll never happen.
But worst case scenario.
Well,
kind of thing.
Best case scenario for some, but a scenario nonetheless, is that something like that happens, right?
Yep.
Okay. If the asbestos is taken out of the Big M building, then why not just sell the old city hall and the police and all that?
Yeah.
It would never work, but I mean, it's a great
idea. It would be a whole curveball coming out of nowhere, but I mean,
there's no parking. They would have to.
They could subscribe to the parking garage.
Well, they're the city, so they can take the parking garage, but it wouldn't work because they have too much equipment that they would need in the parking garage. That would be too accessible probably to the public. That's
probably a fair point. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you got to have separated and not able for people to not only see but get their hands on or touch or try to. It
would be epic though to have a downtown police department.
That would be neat. Be something
in a sky rise.
It's close to a Minot sky rise.
Yeah.
Just see
what? Isn't that the tallest building? Maybe
at least I don't know if it's the highest elevation, but the tallest actual building.
But the other one, the Parker might be it. I don't remember.
Same with Henry Towers, but I think that might just be because it's on the hill.
That's just on the hill. But there's the other tower. There's the other housing deal downtown that's also very tall. Anyways, Millennium.
Yeah.
So interesting stuff there. Construction fraud.
Gotta always be wary.
City Hall or Legacy City Hall, Big M building, epic construction, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You threw this on here, Holmberg News. That's an interesting deal that is being tracked down on, and we won't say much. There's some information on the website.
Yeah, you can check it out online. Quick Google search will give you all the details you need. But longtime former state senator Ray Holmberg, who stepped down 2 years ago after he announced he was going to resign when some very serious allegations came out.
Very serious.
He has now pled guilty to them for a plea as a part of a plea bargain. So they're going to take away some of the sentencing issues and be a reduced sentence. But he's pled guilty, so he did it. There's no questions about that, and it'll be interesting. Well, it has played out. We'll just at this point see what the sentencing is.
Yep. So that's an interesting story to track. Yep. It's one though that some are trying to make it is a big deal. That's not what I'm.
It is. This has gone on national news stories and
they're trying to make it a huge deal within the Republican Party, which it is. But they're trying to say that there's others that knew and were responsible.
Yep.
That let this slide under the rug. Interesting interesting take. I have no idea if there's any validity to that.
So
But
far, nothing's come out at least of it.
when we kick off our election central again, as we gear up for November,
It's
we
already
get
middle of August.
yeah, it is. And we get some conversations with, well, during our primary day live.
Yep.
I believe Sandy Sanford said she'd come on. If not, then she has said previously she would. So it'd be an interesting question for her.
She didn't turn it down. At least I know that for a fact.
Yeah, for sure. So that's an interesting one. And then another one was that we recreational.
Yeah, go ahead and
bro.
put what I put in the notes.
He set me up there. Recreational use marijuana is
going to be
officially on the ballot
for voting. Yep. It took them a little while to verify all the signatures, but they were past the necessary amount. It will be officially on the ballot this fall.
That'll be interesting.
It will. It'll be the third time now. I think recreational marijuana is on the ballot for the state. It has obviously not passed the last two. 2016 is when medical passed.
How are you voting?
Wait and see. I haven't read it. I don't know what it is. I know a couple of years ago when they did it, there were some really egregious things they
That's
had
terrible.
Still. So it'll be interesting to see if this one's toned down a little bit. But
it's interesting how stuff keeps getting the same thing keeps getting put on the ballot.
Yeah, I imagine eventually it'll pass. It's just
it would have to.
Will it be now or 10 more years from now, kind of thing.
That's a whole nother discussion right there. It's a very powerful discussion.
And that can bridge into other things at that point too, just general social trends and everything.
But it'll be there right next to ending property taxes.
You betcha. That's on the ballot too.
Though it's not really ending property taxes. That'll be a discussion that we'll also be having in our Election Central coverage. Even beginning next week when we're going to have a special guest that's going to be talking about property taxes in general. I think it's going to be an interesting discussion on Minot Talk. So
yeah, it'll be fun.
Which will be coming right after City Council President Mark Janter's budget statement letter.
He's going to, or his version of the budget, if he's just going to push forth the city one, or if he has any amendments to it.
What do you see being in his letter?
I can't imagine there'll be.
Come on, speculate.
Reckless speculation. I don't think I don't think he's going to try to decrease the mill any further.
Really?
I don't foresee it, but I mean, you never know. You could always see it in there. I think it's probably. I think.
Well. I kind of had that noise on here just now. That was pretty good. So, in discussions with Janser, I asked him after the interview about what he would want to do with the $700,000 that potentially gets put back as money that can be spent in the budget from the employee salary increase. And he said that he would give it back to the people. That's what he's a fan of.
Which I think that would be a great tax break kind of incentive. It would be more of a direct refund, or do you think it would be more?
No, not like that. Just decrease the mills.
Okay, fair.
Okay.
I think that would be great then. That would just be a smaller, another couple points taken off the mill at that point.
Yeah.
I think that would be fantastic. I think the people of the city of Minot would very much be wanting that. I mean, obviously we've had the mill is going to be decreased, but it's for, what is it? $20 for every $100,000 of home value, give or take a couple dollars in there. So I think it would be fantastic to see that lowered even further, so long as we can remain out of a deficit. City budget.
Something else that will be interesting to watch on that city budget is to see what happens with the bus.
Yeah, the public.
Do you think we're getting a new bus, a federally funded bus?
That's interesting one. I would imagine it'll stay in there.
You think it stays in the budget?
I would be willing to go and say it does, but I could also. It depends on. If I remember right at the meeting at the questioning, I don't think Janser mentioned anything on it. I know Councilman Fuller did.
Yeah.
And did Blessum comment on it too?
I don't remember.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but it depends. I know Rob Fuller was obviously the one that was talking about it a lot, so it would be interesting to see if he ends up having any impact on what Janser would put in. And I'm not positive of Janser's full opinion on it. I don't remember the interview off the top of my head what he said, but I could see it being in there still. The hybrid diesel electric bus,
right? Definitely hybrid. Do you? Yeah, I don't. For perspective, let me stumble over my words and let me say something.
Yeah.
For perspective, I think that meeting that was held, a lot of the council people were just taking in information.
Yep.
They were not trying to go and make a point overall. Maybe there were some specific things, but overall, it was not a point of saying, "Hey, I think this should be included in the budget or this shouldn't be."
At the Q&A special meeting, you're saying?
Yeah, with all the city department
Yep. Okay.
leaders. That's how I feel based off conversations that I've had with them as I've done these interviews. That's how I feel.
Sure.
And then when it gets to the time for actually cutting stuff, because now they can't, well, they can add stuff, but they have to cut something to add something.
Yep. It has to be a.
It's going to be like, I heard it. I heard the same thing you did. I don't see that there's a purpose. Or, hey, dude, we need this bus.
Yep.
Whatever that conversation is, it'll be interesting to see what it is. I have my opinions on it.
Mm-hmm. What's your opinion on it? You gonna share it?
Well, so let's see. Today, the interview with Rob Fuller came out. It's supposed to come out over the weekend, and technical difficulties came out this morning. Tomorrow, queued up, all ready to go.
It's ready.
It's happening. Is the interview with Alderwoman Lisa Olson. And then Thursday, we have an interview with city councilman or alderman. Like, I looked up the difference between alderman and councilman, and there's like no difference.
It's just a choice of.
But they like to be. I think they like to be called alderman.
They prefer alderman. Okay.
To some, it probably doesn't matter. Side
it's
rabbit trail.
Rabbit
trail. Anyways, alderman Mike Blessum. That one, there was an interesting conversation about the bus.
Was there?
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to give us a little teaser, a little spoiler?
No, but questions of why we need to take federal funding for it.
Sure. Like, could we not just buy it on our own outright, and then it's up to us what we want to do with it at that point?
Or even other stuff. You got to listen. You got to listen to find out. Hopefully.
Everyone tune in. That'll be out tomorrow morning.
Oh, tomorrow morning is Lisa Olson.
Lisa Olson's tomorrow morning.
Yes. Thursday is Mike Blessum.
Okay. And also Lisa Olson, Vice President of City Council. There'll be some great opinions and knowledge.
It's going to be
that interview.
That's a good interview too. That's a good interview too.
It'll be fun to.
Honestly, I've enjoyed every single interview. They've all brought a unique perspective. Obviously, the way that we do those interviews is we try to keep the questions somewhat the same, so some of it can seem routine. Mm-hmm. But I think it's interesting to get all the different perspectives on those same things.
Then you have different,
and they vary.
Exactly.
For instance, if you listen to the one with Rob Fuller, I'm like, all right, we talked about all the bad stuff in this budget. Let's talk about the good stuff. Well, what are some good things we can point out here? He's like, nothing.
I love it. That's a very Rob Fuller answer. I can see it.
Gotta appreciate it. I was like, no way. I love it.
He is the candidness. And see, that's the thing. These interviews, I as a voter and a citizen, I applaud the aldermen and women, and mayor and city manager for being open and doing these interviews with you. I love
absolutely
because it allows not only to us to hear their opinions, but it gives them a chance to let their personality shine a little bit, so we can feel like we're getting to know them a little.
Did you watch the Harold Stewart one?
I did. Yep. I watched the Harold Stewart, Mark Janser, and Tom Ross.
So on Harold Stewart,
yep.
What'd you think of him?
He was more light than I expected. It didn't come off nearly as serious as I was anticipating.
Exactly.
Like he's a quiet guy by all means,
right.
But he's not the hard-nosed stickler that you kind of feel like he is when he's behind the dais.
Right. Yeah, definitely. It was a good interview.
It was
definitely interesting to get to know him
with a lot of stuff
in that light. And we will. He said he would do a future interview, so we'll do a future interview with him that's not budget related.
Yeah.
I'm also excited to do another interview with Tom Ross that's not budget related. There's a lot of stuff that's happened in the city since we've last sat down, that's gonna be a good interview. It's
been a busy 2 years as mayor for him.
Yeah. Well, we did an interview last year though.
That's true. That's true. That was last summer, fall.
Around this time.
This time last year. Yeah.
We did one coming in on the Christmas season. That was the last one we did with Mayor. Looking forward to doing another one with him. That one's gonna be really interesting. There's a lot that's happened. Obviously, North Hill is radically changing.
Yeah.
And so that's also a great discussion point. But yeah. Definitely follow along those budget chronicles. We have the city council where there's two. You obviously, if you're tracking, there's two that we haven't mentioned, and we're waiting on them.
Waiting on
So
confirmation. We're
so
sure they'll get back to Jonathan.
we're pretty sure they will.
It's busy. It's summertime, right
man,
before a
is
week
it not?
before school starts.
But I said that not to call them out, but to say that we're also planning, and we're working on this to get some interviews with some Minot public school board members to talk about their budget, and Ward County Commissioner to talk about their budgets.
That'll be
Their
fantastic.
budget, I guess. So
And those will be
that
on
will be-
Minot Matters as well.
that will be on the Minot Matters podcast. And then also, I'm tired of talking budget, but we still have a lot of talk left.
We do today, especially.
But we also are beginning to set up interviews with some non-budget stuff with key people in the city of Minot to talk about some of the programs. One of them, we're just working on setting up a time, but that one's gonna be exciting. I won't reveal anything about it other than
it's happening.
It's going to happen, and I'm excited to do that interview. But that's probably enough about the interviews. We've probably talked about that too much. But moving on. What's some upcoming events
this week? I know tomorrow. It's Tuesday because it's 2:00 and it's Minot Talk. So tomorrow's Wednesday, and tomorrow on Wednesday is the big tomato harvest festival in town. It's gonna be tomorrow evening here in Minot.
The tomato festival.
Great tomato festival. I've never been, but I've heard it's a fun time. Of course, Thursday this week, downtown Minot always has their little bazaar going on.
They're competing.
Oh,
with the Minot Area Chamber EDC.
That's right. Yep.
Business after hours.
Yep. I was gonna mention
that's something in there is a key to one of the people that we're working on getting booked up on the podcast.
Be sure to watch.
Yeah.
Keep
that's gonna be held at Valley.
Yeah, Valley of Marine Sport.
Yep.
It's I think $5 to get in, but you can
get to check out their new. I mean, it's been there for a while. They have a beautiful showroom now.
Yeah.
After that fire.
Yeah, without a doubt. But the remodel's been great for them, I believe.
I believe so too.
Now, if you do end up going, you can definitely mingle, get to meet a lot of local business owners and appointed officials, along with potentially elected officials, depending on if they show up or not. But
they will.
They'll
be there.
I'd be shocked if they weren't.
But Minot Farmers Market coming up.
Yeah, Saturday, always fun. Who doesn't love the farmers market? Get that good fresh vegetables. And
when's the last time you went?
I have a garden myself, so I don't have
all right
to.
I was calling you out because you said who doesn't love it.
I've went once this year. I went
good job
times, but
good job.
I haven't gone since before the fair.
All right, we're calling people out today.
Jonathan's good at that. That's
don't
what
worry.
He's here for.
We're calling out some people at the Ward County Commissioners as well.
Yeah,
we're coming for them all.
Last of a meeting. But first, before we get into that, any other upcoming events you want to talk about?
Nah,
anything this week?
I'm good.
Should we get into the school board?
Let's get into the school board.
Last Thursday, Minot Public School Board met for the second time since the new members have been inaugurated, I guess.
Hey, I have a question. I'll
try to answer.
I'm told that they gave themselves a raise.
Uh-oh.
See, I'm told this, and I read that somewhere else. I've heard this a couple times, but when I listened to the meeting,
it
was my understanding that they were just have to set their wages annually.
Yeah.
And it was what was last year. Okay, let's do that again. That was my understanding. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. And people will. As they should. I appreciate it.
Please keep me honest.
Yeah, he needs it the most though.
Exactly.
So I'm kidding. But yeah, so I don't know. Interesting thing there, though. They had to set that, and then they had to set their meeting time.
And I know one thing too with their budget. A lot of I'm not sure if this was specific to their salaries or if this was teacher salaries. So I know part of it was negotiated on like a 2-year contract. And
yeah, that's not their salary.
Okay, so that's on the teacher salaries with the union and everything.
Yep.
Then. Okay, perfect. So yeah, the teacher salaries, any increases that happened there was already predetermined and agreed upon prior, and now they led into I guess the big thing was the budget.
The budget.
Before we get into that, do we want to talk about a little the construction process and school starting soon?
School starts next week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Watch out. Yes. Next week, teachers report Monday, Tuesday. School is next Wednesday. Week from tomorrow, kids. Get ready.
Yay.
And they did a little report at the beginning of the meeting on construction progress at Minot North.
It's getting close. They finally got rid of the big dirt hills that were hiding the whole project.
Yep. They got the main parking lots paved. The cafeteria is ready to go finally.
So is it going to be ready for school?
We'll be ready for school, but not everything will be ready.
Womp, This is gonna be clapping. No, first try, folks.
He
We're
got
on
it.
fire
The man
today.
himself. He knew what he was doing. But yeah, I know all the outdoor facilities like the football field are all going to be accessible and ready for fall and everything too. But I know
Gotcha.
the swimming pool's not going to be ready, and I know their big theater and stage aren't quite ready.
Is this gonna increase the house of prices on North Hill?
Oh, I imagine
The
as much.
cost. I don't know what I just said, but I know what I meant to say. Is this going to increase the house prices on North
I
Hill?
knew what you were going for, and I would imagine as much.
Yeah,
Being
that'd be
in
interesting.
prime school.
That'll be a big moneymaker for the city right there.
I have a slight detour here before we get into the budget, and they sort of vaguely mentioned it in passing at the meeting. The road that goes in front of the new school.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to have to redo that and make it 4 lanes total?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Because that's already it can be congested traffic right
At
now.
5.
Yeah. And if now all of a sudden you have a new high school going in there, especially when you come off the bypass there, that's I feel like I know they added in turning lanes, but I really feel like there's going to be some.
That road is
traffic
almost
issues.
miserable when
It
there's
can be
snow.
now.
When there's snow.
Exactly, because there's not a
It
lot
gets
of
very
shoulders. I feel like I'm sure there's some kind of, and I know they alluded to the possibility of having to do something with that in the future in the meeting, but I know I feel like that might be something that'll.
It's a
have
good
to be
question for
addressed.
city engineer Lance Meyer.
That would be, yeah. If anything's on the table with that, if anything's even been thought of with that, or if it's just they'll deal with it when it arises. Well, hey, if it hasn't yet, I'm arising it.
Yeah,
It's been a rose.
It's been a rose. It's arisen.
But that's my little detour.
Great question.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Yep. What's next?
Budget
deficit.
To the budget at this point.
Yeah. All right, budget deficit. This is the most exciting thing. Budget deficit for how many years in a row? Too many.
3, 4?
$3.4 million budget deficit.
Yep. Over $3 million in the hole they're spending. And that comes with a slight mill decrease in the tax levy too.
Which is an interesting move.
It is. I agree with it. I'm not opposed to it, but I feel like.
Why do you agree with it?
I don't. Less taxes.
Yeah, but bankruptcy is not the solution.
And but here's the counter to that. So obviously less tax is a good thing, but I feel like they could have gotten away with just keeping it where it was and not.
But it still wouldn't have affected that deficit.
No, probably not enough.
I'm not advocating for you're going to draw some fire right there.
I could.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
The solution to it is getting rid of $3.4 million out of your budget. That's the solution.
That's where a lot of it's at. Yeah. You got to start making some, but they did make cuts. They closed 2 schools. Where else do you cut at?
They didn't let it go of any of the teachers for those 2 schools.
That's true. They all got kept.
The highest cost for
the budget,
any city budget, or county budget, I should say, public service budgets are the people. And they'll tell you that it's in that 80% range. 80% of the budget typically is the people. It's typically what you should get told.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to shut down 2 schools, but keep all the people, and now they said when it happened that they would let them go, they just wouldn't fill positions as people step down.
Sure.
So they would have let attrition account for it. And that's probably a good strategy if your budget can take that.
If it can hold it. How long can ours hold it for?
Now, to be fair, they're in the budget and they still got money. Or they're in the deficit and they still got money.
Yeah.
And the city has oodles of reserves right now.
Yeah. City's sitting okay on that end.
And I mean, they spent some out of the reserves this year, but a lot of it was money that was supposed to be spent. Not in the general fund that's just sitting there.
It's true. A lot of it was pre-planned kind of things that was built in. But back to the school board, I know with their deficit issue, if I know one thing they talked about a lot was the fact that there's a lesser amount of students in Minot this year compared to last year.
That would lose some money.
Yeah, that means there's less state funding there as well. So I know that creates a little bit of a conundrum in that, but even still, I feel like this is still a bigger issue than losing a little state funding from having a few less students
year over year, and you just build a new school.
Yeah.
So did you need a new school? And everybody that's a fan of, no, not everybody. I don't. That would be an interesting poll of if we were a fan of that. I had another poll that would have been interesting, but I forgot it. But who all now that it's done, are we still a fan of the new school?
With hindsight, yeah. Because I know coming in people.
Come on, Leif, tell us. You
everyone
told us
wanted-
30 to 50 million for the new police station. You a fan of the new school?
it is it's up and it's done, so it's happening at this point. They're going to be starting. I think it is this Wednesday. I think they said they're having an all teacher open house kind of thing for
Nice.
it, where they're going to take everyone through and kind of have that one big final walkthrough. It'll be an interesting time.
That is interesting. And so they're going to go and take a retreat to discuss the budget in depth. Do you know if this is going to be a closed retreat?
It's going to be open to the public.
Okay.
It sounded like, it's nothing obviously will be decided at the retreat, but it'll give them and specifically the new school board members a lot better opportunity to really dive into the budget and get an idea of where everything stands.
Do they get to go and talk with all all right. I was talking about this with somebody this past week.
Yep.
And the city does not get enough accolades for the transparency that they bring to their budget. I don't care if you agree.
Yeah.
I was corrected, and I think it's a fair correction. Not transparency. There are some line items that probably could be more clear, though even that they do a better job than the other public departments or taxing authorities in the area.
That's a good way to put it.
But they bring a level of accessibility that is not brought by the others.
No,
you're talking about 168 page budget proposal, and the other ones are like 10 pages.
Yeah, I think total is the school board whole budget is 40 pages, and that's with the summary included kind of thing.
It's ridiculous.
And this is a sidetrack into the next meeting, the county commission that we're going to talk about later, but just real quick, you're talking about accessibility. Those the county commission meetings are on Vimeo.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's called. See, it's not on their website. It's not on YouTube.
Boy, come on.
I remember Vimeo from back in the day.
It's still popular.
Is it?
It's just not YouTube.
It's not. Do they live stream on Facebook?
No, they don't. They live stream on Vimeo.
There you go. That adds to my point.
If you want to go down that road, I mean, we are just throwing stones today, but oh well. Their live stream is like, go watch the cities. Just watch
the city of Minot. Yeah.
I mean, when you first watch the city of Minot, you're like, all right, this is so
yada yada yada.
And then you go and you watch the Minot Public School, and you're like, oh wow, the city actually like. I don't mind the live stream.
Not saying that anyone at the school board doesn't know what they're doing by any stretch.
No, that's not what I'm saying, because a lot of it comes down to, and I'll say this because I think it's important that I say this because I'm the one that's throwing out the stone. Is that I bet you it comes down to budgets, and the school board was like, we need to get this live stream, and so they did. And it looks to me like they use a software called OBS, and they have a couple of switches, like a couple cameras, because they are able to show other things, but you'll see them like drag it over the screen and stuff like that.
Very bare bones.
Yeah. But it gets it done, and that's good. I think sometimes the volume is a little bit.
It's quiet, definitely.
Yeah, I don't think they have mics at every desk.
Yeah,
and that's something that the Ward County commissioners do have, but you don't ever get to see the person presenting on their live stream.
No, and I don't. At least at this last one, they didn't show the presentation live either.
Yeah, another thing.
Like they put it in the presentation in their minutes report, their agenda report, but doesn't hit the same.
Right. So definitely interesting stuff. We got a response from Leif on our school, on the new school. I like the idea of 2 high schools and the opportunity it will provide for extracurricular activities. Having said that, the new high school building is way too expensive and over the top. Could have saved some money.
That's a fair point.
Well spoken.
Yeah.
Perhaps it is time for the 2 high schools. But
Minot had the largest graduating class in the state, and it was probably time.
But dude, it was fun, and it'll happen again, I'm sure. But it was fun beating other.
It's fun being in contention for every sporting event.
Yeah,
we were guaranteed to be like at least competitive. Yeah. I'm sure they'll still be good.
I mean, they just won state football.
Exactly.
That's hard.
That like 30, 40 years.
Yes, that's huge.
It was, and they won state the year before. They won state basketball, and
boys and girls.
Exactly.
They dominate swimming. They're
competitive in hockey every year.
Competitive in hockey,
which I think actually that's not splitting up yet. I think that's actually going to remain just one team.
They've had some great hockey players come out of Minot High.
Yep.
One of them is in the NHL or has played in the NHL, I believe. So yeah, some definitely incredible things.
It is. It's
And that's not even talking about soccer.
No, yeah, and which Minot High soccer program's been getting better and better this year. If you've ever gone past the North Hill complex during a game, and that speaks to the road that
The
we brought
North
up
Hill
earlier,
complex
or,
during a game.
Where they play soccer at.
Their game's been played up there?
I at least practices have, or maybe it's children's soccer actually that I'm thinking of now that I think.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of something different.
Kids soccer.
The other soccer park.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go by that on, I think it's Tuesday nights. That is a nightmare.
Yeah, it's terrible. But that just leads to that road needing updates from earlier.
Probably. When there's actual games going on, you make a great point. Friday night can be miserable around that road.
Yeah. Good luck up there.
There's only one entrance. It seems like I would almost be wrong. Probably something to look into. There's probably a solution that's in the pike that's going to come down.
Something has to have been thought. I would be shocked if no one has foreseen this before us on this podcast today.
Yeah, fair. I mean, we're smart, but
someone had to have talked about this beforehand.
We're a little bit scattered, perhaps.
All good. But so we were talking about the deficit in the mills. So the preliminary. Also, one thing that happened with that meeting on last Thursday.
Yeah.
So every based on state regulations, every school board's budget is due by August 10th of every year. That August 10th this year was on a Saturday, so that the preliminary budget was due by the day after this meeting.
Yeah, I believe
so. They
believe that basically every taxing authorities is due by that date,
or either August or October.
August,
or is it?
Because the Ward County like they have to get the preliminary budget.
Okay, the preliminary
budget. Because then what happens is they send out letters to all the people saying, hey, you can expect this much of an increase on your property taxes or this much of a decrease. And then they have the public hearings where the people can be like, I got this letter in the mail and I'm quite aggravated.
I don't like this.
Yeah. And so they can go and they can say why they feel like it should be lowered or increased. And then discussion can be had in a final budget.
And speaking of that, there is a public hearing set for this one. It's Thursday, September 12th at 5:30 p.m. and it's at the Minot Area Workforce Academy. So if you have any comments or concerns with the school board budget, September 12th, 5:30, Minot Workforce.
That's the day. Yeah, I won't be there. I'll be out of town.
Oh, you're gonna be gone.
Gonna be gone.
Disappointing.
Bummer. We'll still have that on the podcast.
Oh,
so
of course.
I might talk.
We'll yap about it regardless. We'll watch it. I'm sure it'll be live streamed.
We won't just yap about it. We'll be informed and then we'll talk about it. Get this right.
We're not just yapping.
All right. So deficit budget passed 5.0.
Yeah.
So all that means again, top end is locked in. It could decrease.
They can always lower stuff going throughout, but yeah, as of right now, it's preliminarily locked into where we're at.
All right. So the second thing that was interesting, anything else on the school board you got?
Nothing off the top of my head. If it comes up, I'll yell it. But
so county commissioner meeting. Yeah.
Yep. That was last Monday?
Yeah. No, Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning.
Yeah, it's last Tuesday. Yep.
This is an interesting group.
It is. There's
so they did a good job, and if we had that was a weird statement out of the gate here, but it was an interesting meeting to behold when you look at the way that the city council is held and you look at how the school board is held. They have a unique approach, which you would somewhat expect because it's a very different. I mean, you're talking a lot more agriculture and stuff like that that's involved in the county.
There's just a lot more just pure land,
a lot more variation.
Yeah.
And stuff.
A lot more zoning issues you have to come across. And
so definitely an interesting compared to the other two different type of meeting, but definitely go ahead and find a way to watch that. It's on Vimeo as was mentioned or Vimeo or whatever you called it.
Yeah.
We'll call it Vimeo. That's right. Vimeo. It's on Vimeo.
Yep. There we go.
It is live streamed first and third Tuesday at 9 a.m. I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, one of the interesting things you pointed out was the Trinity contract.
Yeah. One of their big things that they were discussing was at the end of this year. So they signed a short extension with Trinity Health to provide medical services to the county jail after December 31st, excuse me, that contract will end. And based on the conversations they had in their meeting, it sounds like Trinity Health doesn't want to re-up that contract. So theoretically at that point, there would be no one to service any larger emergency services for the county jail.
Does that mean that there's a new hospital coming in?
Could there be?
No.
I know they mentioned First District Health
Yep.
as a potential alternative, but it also didn't sound like they were very interested.
It's interesting.
So I don't know if there's a financial thing or if that just has to do with sheer workload. But that was one interesting thing to see play out there, because
My mic is struggling today, folks.
it happens. That's see him shifting it around. It is what it is.
Yep.
But aside from that, so you have potential issues that arise not only if inmates can't get emergency care, which I'm sure they'll have some form to make it happen. But aside from that, all of inmates' healthcare costs are paid for by the county. If anyone that gets arrested prior was on Medicaid, Medicare, anything like that, those are null and void going into the penal system. And if that does end up playing out as it would, I don't know. I mean, I could only imagine those costs of healthcare would just get higher at that point.
Yeah. So interesting thing there. They also cover the opioid addiction crisis.
A lot of talk on that.
That was not the reason why we were interested in this council meeting or commissioners meeting.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we were interested in this commissioners meeting was because they also were talking about their budget.
Yeah, because it is that time of year.
And we were going all in on the Minot Budget Chronicles.
Yep.
And there's a reason why we called it the Chronicles.
Because that's not just city council. It's the county. It's the school board. To a lesser extent, it's the park board.
But the park board has almost the same, just slightly less impact than Ward County. All right, let's see if I can find a slide.
He's going to pull it up.
I don't know if I'm or not.
He's going to try. But what were you going to bring up?
No, you're going to distract me while I'm trying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, this was provided by the city.
The revenue recap. Here we go.
Yeah. So you see, City of Minot. This is based off 2024. City of Minot was 119.76 mils.
Yep.
Minot Public Schools, they were up there, 139.69. And then look how close Ward County and Minot Parks are.
Yeah, right with each other there. That's a neck and neck kind of thing.
To be fair, if it was 1 or 157 and 148, it would seem a lot like the Minot Parks was a lot less, but because it's lower numbers and it feels like they're tighter. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, they're both if you combine them, then they still don't reach what the city of Minot is.
Yeah, they're still less than the city of Minot at that point, but it still is an impact in every one of our lives that lives in the county. So it's a noticeable. You're going to know it. This is where it all comes from.
That being said, though, after this meeting, we're finding something because the city of Minot decreased their mills, and the Ward County Commissioners increased their mills, both of them on preliminary budgets.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this was the most interesting line that I heard on the budget talk at the Ward County Commissioners meeting. It was done by Bucky Anderson. And he said, since I'm not running for re-election, Chairman, I move to approve this budget as is. And then there was the understanding that most likely there'd be future talks. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Mm-hmm. But that was the line. And there was a second on that. Rosted seconded it. And Rosted
is running for re-election.
He is running for re-election, but that's only after he got signatures because of all that mess.
That was a whole issue.
We'll be talking with the candidates. But yeah, interesting way of saying it. It was,
it's an interesting wording. Just it's one of those. You have to get the budget on the table, but at the same time, to do it in that sense, just to say, hey, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Just to do it, just for the sake of doing it. And it leaves a slightly, to quote Mike Blessum, fishy taste in your mouth, or sketchy taste. I think that was the right word. Excuse me.
I don't think either were the right ones, but they're good.
No, it was shady. It was shady.
There we go.
Third time's the charm. I got it. It was.
I don't think he said taste in his mouth.
No, but I just wanted to use the word shady at that point. That was the quote I was going for.
There you go.
But
that was well done.
It's a shady sentiment.
Absolutely. It did feel a little bit off, mm-hmm. But the Jason Olson's like, I don't agree with this.
Yep. And same with County Chairman Feidel.
Feidel. Olson's like, there's some things that I have marked down that we could go ahead and remove, mm-hmm. that we can cut from the budget. And then Wepler's like, all right, well, hey, I want to cut down the budget. Tell me about them. And in my opinion, in a wise move, He did not tell them about it because there was no chance of them getting cut down at that point.
Not right
And
there.
he was going to show his cards for what he sees as being needing to be reduced in the budget. That's going to be an interesting discussion. They're up. I'm not sure how many mills they're up. I heard several, right, like around 8 mills. But they are up. So like the city is down as it affects the people, $100,000, right around $20. You'll pay $20 less in taxes, right?
Yeah. Give or take.
For the county, I believe around 225. That was the metric that they used, probably because farm. I have no idea why they used that metric. 225 is around almost $70 increase. It was in the 60s, mid to high $60 increase in property taxes.
So half of that is 10,000. Half of that's roughly $35, so a little less than that. So you're looking at like
so basically what you saw,
$25
what you saw the city reduce, the commissioners are increasing.
Yeah, it's just negating it at that point for whatever gains you might be making in the city. Any county commission.
Isn't that crazy?
That is. That's
and what's interesting.
So and that's including. So yeah, you include the school board slight decrease with the city's decrease. It's pretty. I would imagine. I obviously don't know the dollar.
Almost
figures,
gonna be a wash.
It's going to be a wash. Yeah,
but there's a chance that stuff does decrease still, and we'll get back to some of the commentary that was had after Bucky said that. But Commissioner Anderson said that. But one thing that's interesting. You derailed my thoughts right there.
I didn't say anything.
This guy's gonna go laugh at me.
I didn't say anything.
He just derailed my thoughts. What a dude!
Talking about Commissioner Buck Anderson.
Yes, his name is Bucky Anderson.
It is Bucky.
That's his name. Don't pick on me for that.
I didn't say anything.
Okay. So, anyways, definitely some interesting discussions that are going to come down on that.
Yep.
So I think that they do want to decrease their budget still. I think that's the
general goal.
That's what I pulled from it. But they are waiting for final numbers on some benefits. And they obviously, that's going to affect the budget.
Yep.
Massively.
Because insurance of every kind has been going up in price this past year plus. You look at we've been going over the budget of the city in depth. So you go through any department's line items, every one of them insurance prices have gone up, whether it be property insurance, health insurance, everything is increased. So there's another expected one for the county. It's just, you got to know.
And they have an expected percentage, but they're just wanting to see the final one.
Yeah,
so that way
that final number comes in.
They know what the exact number is.
Yeah.
But interesting thing there too was that there was, after they had looked at the preliminary budget, there was a department leader that was looking for a promotion for one of his, not himself, but for one of the people that were in his department. And it was going to be like $8,000 increase in the budget. How it was all going to go down. I think 2 people would be affected by it. But for me, like when you look at the accessibility, that's the word that I've used a lot with it. And the process that the city has implemented in their budget, the other taxing authorities in the area need to take notice.
Yeah.
They need to step up and meet the bar that the city is setting there.
Yeah. They got to at least start competing, because I don't even know if we're in the same league right now.
No, I really don't think we are. When you go and you look at the conversations that are going on, there's so much lack of clarity. And that's something that I don't know what the solution is to it. I know that the city is ran a lot differently than the Ward County is.
Of course.
And to a degree, the public schools, but not to the same degree as Ward County. There definitely needs to be some elevating to the bar that's being set by the city.
Like there are full-time people dedicated to this. And
yeah, there are.
You look at I'm not saying they're not good at what they do.
Oh, no, they're definitely good at what they do. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. You look at the job that the city of Minot people do and how they present it.
I want to walk that back.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
Because you're saying it like it's like their job. It's not even that. It's the style. It's the how.
Yeah.
It's the process.
The presentation.
It's not that the numbers that they're bringing are bad numbers. It's not that all I'm saying is the presentation that the city does is
Far more clear.
is the bar that is being set there on the process of how.
And the other authorities should try to
Emulate
reach
that.
that bar.
Right. They should. I really do think they should. I
that's
think
a
it
great
would
way to put it.
bring a lot greater level of transparency for these other taxing authorities. And what's not fair about it at all, and I began to say earlier, and we got distracted, as has happened today. What's not fair about it is when these, if things were right where they are right now, and basically there's no change in property taxes or there's a slight increase, the city is the one that's going to take the abuse.
Sure. I get, yeah, that makes sense, I suppose. I mean, I don't know if I agree with it, but it makes sense where it's coming from at that point.
Yeah, people just get mad at the city, like the city raised the tax. No, they didn't. Go look at your property tax bill.
Yep. Go
make sure
breakdown.
When you get upset about your property taxes, and that's fair that you do, make sure you show up at the Minot City. Go and get on them. But make sure you show up at the Ward County Commissioners meeting and say, hey, I don't want my property taxes going up. And make sure you show up at the Minot Public Schools, and make sure you show up at the Minot Park District. And there is some rumors that there could be some things going on with the Minot Park District too. But anyways, like, all these affect your property taxes.
It's not just a one entity.
It's not just city. They take a lot of the brunt, but it's not just them.
It's a whole broad encompassing of departments and authorities that have this whole tax on it. They all put their portion in, and the city's done their part to try to lower taxes.
They have, and I think there'll be more of that. I think that there's going to be. I would be surprised. I'll go out on a limb. I don't think it's that.
You have the best insight onto this. I think if you don't think it's,
I think for the city, I think the mill's going down still. I don't think that's stopped. I think it'll go down by a couple more points.
I think that would be a great thing to look forward
Ward
to.
County, I'm not sure, and I'm not as well briefed on that. It'll be interesting after we have the interviews with some of the commissioners that they are so willing to do it, which I hope they are. I think it'd be a great conversation. We just want to know the truth.
We're diving deeper into the county commission as time goes on here, and we've watched a few of the meetings now and starting to see how it plays out, but there's a lot of it that we're still learning. So just to get some insight from an actual sitting commissioner would be fantastic.
Public school board, I don't know that we're going to see much of a decrease there. I don't think there's probably much that they can.
Yeah,
they probably need to cut budgets and put in reserves.
That's the thing, because when they were talking about it too, there's a lot of different areas that the budget comes into, and there's different caps of percentage, like dollar, like number amounts, percentage amounts of where they can get money and levies from, and a lot of those areas are already capped out. So
yeah, right, yeah, they can't increase taxes, but
there's so few places they can even grab more from.
They have to cut, or they have to find a brand new revenue source.
Yeah,
which would be difficult. One thing interesting on the Ward County Commissioners, and this is part of the battle that they're facing, is their property values for some of the, I think more, I don't know, they weren't very clear in it, and it was something that they were going to look into more as to the why.
This was at the end of the meeting, right?
A little bit, yeah. Their property values are decreasing. Now, some people are like, no way, dude, my property value increased. And yeah, your property value probably did because you own a home. I think some of the ones that they're seeing decrease might not even be ones that have homes on it, perhaps.
Yeah, it could just be rural land at that point.
And perhaps it is just rural ones that have homes on it, which, I mean, if you're in the wrong spot and there's not as much oil traffic that way or whatever, then your place could be
assessments made at that point.
Yep. So definitely going to be interesting things to continue to track. We'll get some interviews with some key players there and get the goods for those that are following the Dakota. You want to know something? We're putting in a lot of hard work, and I think somebody should go subscribe to our channel.
You should, please give it a like.
Give it a share.
Hit the bell. Yeah, hit the bell for notifications. That's what I was looking for. If you're watching us on YouTube, share us on Facebook. Make sure your friends know. This is we're putting effort in, so we can try to make this stuff that's very confusing a little bit more attainable and open for people in the public to see and digest.
Absolutely. So definitely
speaking of that,
what's that?
It is 2:55, about 5 minutes from now. If you go to mydakotan.com, the first article of our budget chronicle should be dropping on the HR department.
HR department.
So be looking out for that.
That'll be an interesting one.
I got some graphs in there. I got some words. It's a read. Got a quote. I wrote it.
It's an article, folks. I
Oh,
have no idea what to say to that.
a great show I think we've done today, Jonathan.
Yeah, it's been something.
It was fun. I think we went over some good stuff. Talked about the school board.
I'm excited about next week's show.
Yeah, next week's going to be interesting.
We're going to be having a special guest. Obviously, going to be coming off of City Council. Those are always interesting shows. We're also going to have a special guest, though.
Are you going to tease the guest who it is?
Well, I mean, I don't think it was him, but there was somebody, and he probably gets this a lot. Maybe I shouldn't even say it.
We've talked about him before on our show.
You've seen his name before.
Yes, we have talked about his name specifically on our podcast.
Yeah, we'll put it that way.
I won't go further than that.
Yep. That's
next
we'll stop hiding behind the bush or trying whatever, beating around the bush. We'll stop that. Okay.
2 p.m. next Tuesday, following the city council meeting with President Mark Janser's budget assessment that is released. We'll have special guests live with us to talk about property taxes, budget,
and he's going to bring a perspective of the like finding a solution to minimize or end property taxes. I think.
Yeah,
which was a mic drop.
A literal mic drop. That would be a really interesting perspective to hear from him, though.
It will be, because this is something, especially now that's on the ballot, I want to look into it a little bit deeper. And
we're gonna have to start talking to some of the representatives from that now that it's on the ballot.
And he's not a representative from it, but he's just he's
knowledgeable,
very engaged citizen that will have some great insight on it.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So
I look forward to it.
Yep, me too. I look forward to 3:00 when there's going to be an HR article dropping, and a lot of great things coming.
It'll be great. Make sure to check out mydakotan.com throughout the week for more my Budget Chronicles articles.
Yeah, and as always, thank you for watching this episode of Minot Talk. It goes on every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Next week, we'll have a special guest and we'll have a sponsor. It's going to be a great week. Thank you.